What's going on, guys? This is episode 2 of the VQ37V300ZX drift build. Pretty excited. As you can see, the old boat anchor is finally out. A quick little rundown on this thing. This was fully built. This is my very first fully built engine. It has JE pistons, Eagle rods. Everything was done professionally at a machine shop. The only thing that wasn't, well, I guess it wasn't fully built, but the heads were stock, but they were rebuilt. But regardless, this engine was really fun for one day, and it went. It went because the piston skirts smacked the oil squirter, and I just lost all oil pressure. But for the duration that the car was running, it was the best it's ever ran. But we move on. I have been messing with VGs for a long time, and I'm kind of sick and tired of it. I just cannot get it right for drifting applications. In my red 300ZX, it makes over 500 horsepower, and it has been reliable. And I've had it for, I don't know how long, over 5 years running without any issues. But enough of that. Let me show you guys what I got going on inside the old reliable here. As you guys can see, there is a VQ37 inside my 300ZX. Now, I can't celebrate too early because it's not permanently mounted. It is just resting inside the engine bay, but it did fit. Now, I have asked some other people inside the 300ZX forums about how's the fitment and all that stuff, and the VHR, VQ37, it is very tall, so I'm going to have to modify my hood for extra clearance. But other than that, it is inside the engine bay, and now I have to start fabricating engine mounts. I didn't really film the whole entire process of me getting the old engine out and me getting this engine in because it wasn't really that interesting, and it took a long time until I was able to keep the engine squared. So by squared, I wanted everything to be as straight as possible, but with how this chassis is, it's a little tweaked in some ways. So if you look at it at a wrong angle, it looks like it's kind of crooked, but I took some measurements and everything looks pretty straight according to the measurements. So let me show you guys what my plans are for the engine mounts. All right, so these are some motor mount templates, whatever you want to call it. This one was too tall, so I just invented, and this one seemed to be, this is for the driver's side. The passenger side may have to be a tad bit different because I don't think the engine is perfectly symmetrical, but everything else goes on straight, then that works for me. So I'm gonna get this made out of much thicker steel and then go from there. All right, I just wanted to give a quick update. I'm a little out of breath from trying to not drop this thing on the floor, but I had the transmission in. Hold on, let me get my flashlight on. Anyway, I had the transmission in, but from the video example that you guys seen, I had some clearance issue on the passenger side trans tunnel, so I did my best to mark it the best way I could. So this area needs to be smashed in by a decent amount, otherwise my engine will be crooked and it just looks goofy. So I'm glad I caught that before I began making my trans mount bracket. So that's what I'll be doing, and then I can hopefully get the motor back straight and my cardboard templates made out for the transmission mount bracket. I wish I kept my original 300ZX transmission mount because I think I probably could have just modified that to adapt the VK41 trans and not have to do all this stuff. So if you guys plan on doing the swap yourself, keep your factory 300ZX transmission mount. And like I said, I am out of breath from not trying to drop that thing, so I apologize for all the huffing and puffing. Check it out. This is a VQ37VHR in my beloved 300ZX. This car hasn't had, well, I guess I'm kind of jumping the gun on saying this, but this car hasn't had a running engine in basically 5 years. I already know this thing runs. I got it run on the ground. I was a little emotional, I guess, coming out my camper today. It kind of hit me like, dude, like my car's back. This is going to be the year that my car is back. My friend is back. I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to drive this thing all over the place. But Yes, not only is the engine in, the transmission is in as well. I will show you guys underneath it in 1 second. Just please don't judge my my MIG welds, because unfortunately all of the good welds are on the inside of the transmission bracket that I welded, and all of the slug welds that I made are on the outside. Of course, it's just kind of how it goes. Now, I don't want to show off too much because I'm going to get judged and I'm going to get told that, oh, well, you can't do it this way, blah. I understand you guys are just looking out for me, but right now I just need to get this car on the dyno, running, driving, make some numbers or break it. I just need that satisfaction real quick, and then I can redo everything that's wrong with it and kind of do it right the second time, if that makes any sense. But here is my super custom transmission adapter, JK41 to 300CX adapter. So that's really about all there is to it. The motor mounts, I don't know if I want to show you guys that. I'll show you guys the passenger side one because the driver's side still needs a little bit of work. This is just sitting in there for right now. I got to turn it around, but it does line up. I just use a piece of square tubing, and then I stacked another metal plate on top of it that I drilled out because it needed some clearance, and that was really about it. Like I said, we're not looking at the driver's side just yet, but there is so much room in between each side of the engine. There's about over 5 inches of room between each side, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to have all that room, because I'm going to be able to do a lot with that. But that's it for underneath the car. Another cool fact, I guess not so cool, I thought for a second I'd be able to use the factory 370Z drive shaft in this build, but it was just a touch too, well, I can't say touch too long. It was about like 4 inches too long. So for you 2+2 guys, you might be in luck. You might be able to reuse the factory 370Z drive shaft if you decide to do this swap. So keep that in mind. So now that I've shown you all the mounts and all that stuff that's been done to this car, I can finally show you guys what you've been wanting to see. Oh yeah, this thing's getting a little turbo to it. I had to make a little adjustment because I was running a little simulation in my head as to how I would get the intercooler pipe from here to the invisible intercooler that is not right here. And the turbo was going to be in the way. So I'm going to utilize the factory intake piping. So it's going to go from here, and then eventually it's going to work its way right there. It's going to connect right in there. And hopefully I can somehow use that pipe, maybe modify a little bit over here or something like that, or just move it completely and run the intercooler out pipes into this. Or yeah, that's about what I'll do. I'll give that one a shot. I'm not really too sure because I don't have any of the intercooler stuff here, but right now I'm just gonna focus on the hot side, and I'll figure out the cold side later. I can just add this little 90 elbow and then just go straight across. So it'll be really easy. If I try and angle it, this is where I suck. If I try and angle it, I'd have to somehow modify this 90 to where it will still act as a 90 with this new angle. And that's something I'm just really not good at doing. It will end up destroying this whole entire project. It will add hours upon hours to get it right. So I think I'm going to go the lazy route. I'll just make it come down a straight 90. Oh, that's straight bend. I'll add a 90 to where it will just run just along across the underneath of the transmission. I should have enough ground clearance for clear without there being any issues. And then I'll have this pipe go towards the turbo, and it should be a pretty simple, well, I just jinxed it now, but I was gonna say it should be a pretty simple straight shot, but I guess we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna go get some measurements as an eyeball it to figure out where I need to cut this thing, and then go from there. Ta-da, there we go. Take a while. All right, gang, I feel like I've reached a decent stopping point for the night. Not to mention, I need a special V-band for this PSR turbo, and that light is dying. So that's good. That means I did a full day's worth of work. But anyway, we got everything mocked up. It's a little crooked, but thankfully the turbo is just hanging right now, and I have plenty of room to kind of like move it wherever I need to. So the last time I made a kit for my 370Z, I mounted the turbo first, and then I ran the exhaust, well, the crossover pipes, and I don't think that was a good idea because it made it really difficult because everything had to be exactly where it needed to be. But I can get a little sloppy because the turbo just kind of hangs, and then I have room to move it wherever I need to move it. I can move it an inch over there or an inch over there. It doesn't matter. I got room. And the best part is when it comes to the exhaust, it'll almost be a straight shot along the firewall-ish and then down and out. And as for ground clearance, I was a little nervous. I was having a bit of a heart attack for a second. Like, I didn't check that. There it is. So now you can see the crossover pipe on the exhaust. It hangs 2 inches lower than the subframe, but I don't know how to explain it. But the 370, it seems like it doesn't have a whole lot of room underneath it. But with the 300ZX, there is plenty of room. And these struts are blown and not having factory wheels on here. Once I have coilovers, it's going to be roughly the same. It'll be around the same height. So I'm not really too worried about that. It'll be like maybe an inch or 2 inches lower, and I'll still have plenty of clearance. But yep, this is where I'm at. I know I didn't film a whole lot of me tacking everything in place. It just took a really long time, but I will film some of the welding, and then I will also film some of the, the driver's side section. I got to figure this one out. I'm not really too sure how I'm going to go about doing it. I know it's possible. I'm just not really too sure what the best case scenario would be. So I'm thinking, probably not a good idea, if I could do a straight U and then connect it into here. And that'll be, I guess, about it for that. So do that into a U, connect it right in there, and then I got to figure out where I'm going to be placing the wastegate. Since I have all this extra room, I could probably place a wastegate somewhere in this section over here. I don't know yet. I'll figure that out tomorrow. I have to make a trip to Summit Racing and buy a V-band and some other things that I need in order to get this kit completed. I'm going to take a few measurements and see if I can order a intercooler. So that way, well, I guess if the intercooler comes here and I have all my intercooler piping, then I don't see why I can't finish this week. But that's all I got. I'll update you guys next time whenever I get all the other stuff.